Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm sorry, I'm a little parched. Thank you for joining. Like, subscribe at the end of the video. Hopefully you find these videos useful. This is my second video that I'm posting. I'm trying to stick to this regimen where I'm posting one video content a week. And so I learned a few things from my first video. I had some family members critique and provide me some constructive criticism on my first video. And a lot of it was my posture. Obviously, I tend to slouch when I'm sitting down. Perhaps it's this chair, I'm not even sure. Maybe I should get a nice office chair. I bought a mic. Fortunately, I failed to buy the cables that connect the mic to my iPhone. And so you're gonna hear the same bad quality sound on this video, so I apologize for that. But hopefully on the third video, not hopefully, the third video, I can guarantee you'll hear better sound. I'm gonna get to it actually today. I'm gonna purchase some of the connectors that I can get from the microphone to the iPhone. But let's get right to it, right? Clarify a few things. Again, my posture and the message I was trying to convey on my last video was that I was against hard money lenders. That is far from the truth. I'm actually working with a few now. The reality is when you need to scale and expand your business, especially in the real estate business or the investing business in real estate, you need hard money lenders. You need the bank. You need other people's money. I would prefer private money. I wouldn't even recommend private money, but hard money lenders there's nothing wrong with a hard money lender. Like I said, on this particular video, I want to talk a little bit about project management and as it relates to rehab, right? Rehabbing a property or just any project in general, right? I'm a certified project manager, been certified for about 8 years and maybe more. I want to say 8 years. Yeah, actually 8 years. And so my message is pretty simple. Project management, everyone thinks they can project manage anything. Project management is not pushing tasks along, especially not in 2021. Maybe in the 90s or in the 80s, is someone that's on your back, pushing these tasks in a Gantt chart or in a project plan. That is not necessarily the case. In my humble opinion, or in my opinion, a project manager needs to be familiar with the project that he or she is managing, right? Depending on the size of the project, right? But for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna keep it very simple. Let's do, if it's gonna be a rehab, let's do a rehab, right? Let's say, maybe not a rehab, let's scale it down to, let's do kitchen cabinets in a kitchen. Something as simple as putting kitchen cabinets in a kitchen, right? Everything else for the purposes of this video is exactly solid. It's for the purposes of this video is in good condition. The floors are great, the walls are great. All you need put up is kitchen cabinets in this kitchen, right? So what's the first thing you need to do? You need to hire someone to put in these cabinets for you, right? Number 2 is checking references. References, previous work, pictures, videos that he or she may have that are pertinent to the job you want, right? You got this person. Now you find a general contractor. The next thing is establishing the scope of work. What is this person going to be responsible for this job, right? He or she is going to be responsible for putting cabinets. Is it only going to be putting cabinets? Does he or she need to go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or any hardware store to get the materials for the cabinets? So all that needs to be in the scope of work, right? And I'm skipping charters and RFPs and all these different sort of terminologies because I'm using a small job, but for larger jobs, a rehab job, it's the same concept. You just have to be a lot more detailed about it, right? And so moving right along, you hire the contractor, you check his or her references, you check their prior work, right? You research the hell out of them. Next thing is you want to establish what he or she is going to be responsible for, right? You want to establish that piece. You want to say, I want cabinets put up, I want the size of the cabinets to be X. I want the colors to be Y. I want these handles. I want these number of cabinets. I want this color. I want this finish. I want this backsplash. Who's going to be responsible for cleaning up after the job is done? Who's going to be responsible for painting indoor around the cabinets? Who's going to be responsible for cleaning out the garbage when the job is done? Materials. Who's going to get materials? Where you want your materials from? What color are you going to be your materials? Down to the screw size or the screw color, handle color, right? So you have that materials. Then you have blueprints, right? Because you got to take measurements. Who's going to measure? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Home Depot? Is it going to be Lowe's, right? Who is going to measure and give you the blueprint and the drawings of where the cabinets are going to be in that kitchen, right? Some people tend to wing these things, right? Next thing is your job. What do you want? Number of, like I said earlier, number of cabinets, number of handles, backsplash, whatever you want in that kitchen that's pertinent to the cabinets, whether you want a vent, whether you want a microwave, right? Anything that's pertaining to those cabinets, backsplash, kitchen, you want it in that scope of work. So you want a start date and an end date. You want when the job is going to start, irrespective of who's getting the material, and when the job is expected to end. There is no approximations. There are contingencies. There is no approximation. Approximately the week after Labor Day. No. Labor Day. Literally on that day, the job is completed. It's done. It's finished. Right? Or Labor Day, and then the contingency is 7 days after that. Right? But your hard go live date, it's set in stone, right? He or she needs to haul ass, or you need to haul ass to make sure that the materials, you may need to get on people's backs to make sure that the job is completed. And then methods of payment, forms of payment. What constituted payment, right? Percentage complete, itemized completion, right? All those things you want in the scope of work. And you want to add that in your scope of work. You want to have your scope of work, and then you want to have your terms and conditions. You have to always keep in mind, you're HR, you're the manager, you're the hiring manager, you're hiring this contractor, right? So what are your terms and conditions, right? You're not going to provide a car. You're not going to provide gas. You're not going to provide a phone. You're not going to provide tools, right? All these things need to be in your terms and conditions. There's no workers' compensation. There is no bonuses. There is none of that. None of that comes into play here, right? Even if you want to say there's no loud music while you're working on my project because it may bother the neighbors, right? Something as small as that, you may want to put in your terms and conditions. And you want to go over these terms and conditions with your contractor so he or she is comfortable with these terms and conditions. Now you may come to a consensus agreement, but you want to have these things in writing, right? You have your contractor, you check the references, you check the scope, you check his previous work, you have your scope of work, you have your terms and conditions, you have your payment methods, right? So you have 4 items here, right? And then I think I squeezed in measurements and drawings in there as well, right? You may or may not, this is a small enough job, but you may or may not want them to use your bathroom while they're there, right? Or you may want to use your bathroom and you want to put a carve out in the agreement. If you're going to use my bathroom, make sure you clean up after yourself, right? So 5 items you need to look for, as I mentioned earlier. I'm going to recap. This is probably it's going to be one of my shortest videos, but I want to emphasize on these items: your resource, your human resource or resources, your terms and conditions, your scope of work, your methods of payment, and a start and end date. You need to start and end date. Here's why you need to start and end date. Do not allow any contractor to tell you he or she works in their own schedule. When have you been to a job interview and said, I work on my own schedule. Unless you're obviously working from remote, sometimes that's allowed now. But you choose that schedule, right? You're choosing Monday to Friday. If you want to work from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., that's your window. You want to work that day, right? But a contractor that tells you I cannot work with end dates, I don't need. And I have people tell me these things. I have people look me in the eye and tell me I don't work with end dates. Can you imagine? Now think about this, right? You're running a business, because you got to remember you're running a business. And I'll give you a very simple example, very clear and simple example, so you have an idea what I'm talking about here. This is why everything needs to start and end date. And all projects need to start and end date. I don't care what anyone tells you. Let's take the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Let's take the Barclays Center in Brooklyn as an example. The Barclays Center, I believe, was built in 2013, right? The Barclays Center was built in 2013, and rates let us know that arena was going to be built. What happened, I think in October of 2012, and it might have been 2012 where that arena was going to be built. The Sandy hurricane hit, and there was floods everywhere. You're going to sit here and tell me that these project managers and experts were not taking into account any storm warning, any storm issues, any supply chain issues? You think they don't have contingencies for these things and still have to meet that deadline? You think there would have been advertising ticket sales? You think there would have been, no. That arena needed to be built before the season started, and it was. Rain, sleet, or snow, that arena was built. It doesn't matter if there was hail coming out from underneath the ground. It had to be a tornado where it took down the arena, right? And so this is what I'm talking about, where you have to have these hard lines when you do these projects. And again, even as something as simple as putting up cabinets in a kitchen. So you want to have all these things in writing. So let's recap quickly. You want to have your resources. You want to check the background. It's like any job, right? Think of it as any job. You're the hiring manager. Before you hire somebody, you go through a background check. You go through a credit check in some places, right? Same thing here. You're the hiring manager. You're hiring them, right? You check the background, the credit. You check the background. You check their work. You check their references. That's done. Next step. You introduce your terms and conditions, whatever they are. That's done, and they have to sign and date it. Next thing, you introduce your scope of work. What is that outline? What do you want done in this job? That's done. You introduce a payment schedule. That's done, signed and dated. You introduce a start and end date. That's done, right? So those 5 items you want to make sure are in your small jobs, even in your big jobs. For big jobs, it's a lot more complex because a lot more hands are involved, a lot more people are involved, the city's involved, right? And so, nonetheless, you want these things outlined. Some of these jobs require city approval and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, you want to have a project plan or a set of documents that list your terms and conditions between you and whoever you're hiring. That is key. That is important on the next try. Thank you guys again. Hit the like button, subscribe, and see you next time.